hottest sports podcast around Valdosta State University. Made by the students, about the Blazers, for Blazer Nation all around. You're tuning into the Inferno Blazer Sports Show with Jalen Scott, Garrison Allen, Kyle Hawthorne, and Chris Mercer. And if you can't take the heat, what makes you think you can survive the Inferno?
Gentlemen, it is showtime. Welcome to the Inferno Blazer Sports Show, Season 3, Episode 1. Welcome back. Hope everyone has enjoyed their summer. Got a full house in here, man. We got Jalen Scott running the boards. Jalen, what's going on with you, man?
Nothing much, man. I'm so glad to be back. Season 3, something that, honestly, to a small degree, I really didn't see us gain to a season 3 at the beginning of all this. I really didn't know how far we'd be going along the show. But the fact that we're here for another semester, dude, it's huge.
Yeah, man. It's great to be, man. And speaking of, man, we're getting into the last ride, man. And anyone that knows, man, we're getting ready. Some of us getting ready to graduate this year. And one person that's joining me is the Dapper Yapper, the Camera 3 Productions own.
Wait a minute. What'd you just call him?
The Yapper Dapper.
The Dapper Yapper?
That means he talks a lot.
Oh, okay.
Really? But I know that's probably something I give myself. But yeah. Kyle, what's going on, bro?
What's up, man?
Hey, man.
Yeah, ready for the start of Season 3.
Yes, it is your season, Kyle.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, stay tuned for episode 333, man, because that'll be our 1-year anniversary of the show.
I think it will.
Yeah. The way we pace it out, because we're recording this, please tell me what today's date is.
Today is the 27th as of recording.
Thank you. As of recording, today is the August 27th, which is a week before the NFL season, and we started doing the first episode during week 3, after week 3.
Yes.
How freaking ironic of the NFL season after Jalen lost to the Cardinals. Don't feel bad, the Eagles did too. I'm excited for that. So we're celebrating 1 year, excited, but also got something a little different. Jack Calhoun, who we will talk about in just a moment, just graduated, and we need someone to take that chair. And I don't think we could ask for a better person than the one and only G. What's going on with you, man? Finally make your debut officially, because we had you on the Waffle House, Ember, that will never see the light of day. G, what's going on with you, man? Introduce yourself to the people, man.
What's good, y'all? My name is Garrison, but y'all will address me as G.
You will address me. You got to find a clip of Romer and talk about acknowledge me. That's him now.
Yeah, that's right. R.I.P. to Jack. He's not dead, but I just had to take his spot at the place, and it's an honor to be here with y'all.
Oh, man.
Can't wait to get started for season 3.
It's great to have you, man. A lot has happened this summer, y'all. It's been an eventful summer, especially if you've lived down here. I don't think we could start this show off correctly without bringing up one. Shout out to tennis for making VSU now a 9-time national champions. Congratulations to them. We're going to get into the details and specifics in just a moment. But also, Jack Calhoun, wherever you may be listening to, and you better be listening.
In the depths.
You better be listening, Jack Calhoun. Jack, of course, we know he graduated in May, but is also now taking the commentary gig at Frostburg State University up in Maryland. Man, so clap it up for Jack, man.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations, bro. Wish him nothing but the best, man. We love you, man, forever and always. Bring a coat, please, because when it gets to October,
yeah, he's going to feel that.
Yeah, man. Mr. Rogers sweater ain't going to help you, bro. It's not. I promise you it's not. But yeah, man, season 3 is here. We're going to do some volleyball. Who's got a game coming up next week? But football is just right around the corner. We are excited to bring it all to you. But let's get into our top headlines with VSU volleyball. If you are ready, Jalen.
Actually, as a matter of fact, we're going to get to volleyball and football later on the show. We want to go ahead and once again give that huge shout out to the men's tennis team, bringing another championship to Titletown, which by the way, again, for volleyball and football, if you want to stay tuned for that, please stay tuned until the later parts of the show. We'll get to those later on. But once again, VSU securing the 9th national title in school history, first since the 2018 national championship, which we beat Flagler College 4-3, a school that we always seem to play, that we always seem to find some ways for VSU and Flagler to meet up and compete. And I mean, the men's tennis team, they took them down. They were an unstoppable force of nature last year.
I can't remember their player's name, and he was hobbling towards the end, and he gave it all that he had for Flagler, and for VSU to be able to get it done. First natty for tennis since 2006, if my memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, and it's the first national title that we've been here for at VSU, because obviously none of us were here in 2018. But, just to say that while we were here in college, we won one of the titles. It's something awesome. Else. Hopefully we can get another title before we head out.
Yeah, man, absolutely, man. Much love to him, man. It was 4-3. As I'm looking at the score. As Christian Weddle secured it with 3 straight wins to clinch the championship, and just to see the jubilation from the team, and also an honorary member of the show, Mr. Reinhardt, be there as well to celebrate it, and the fact that he gets a chance to go out with a natty, it's awesome.
It's poetic, man. I mean, that was his last sport to be ahead up of, and you finish it with a title. I mean, what's better than that?
Yeah, you can't ask for anything more than that.
Yeah, R.I.P. Reinhardt. I mean, he's not dead, but he's about to keep saying that. He's about
to.
Man. So the things with the tennis is that if you don't know how college tennis scoring works, you play 3 doubles matches and then you have 6 singles matches. For every match you win, you score a point. VSU won both doubles matches. We won both doubles matches in that championship game against Flagler, and then in the singles matches we won 2 of the necessary 4 points that we needed to make sure we got that 4-3 win. So once again, we want to give a massive shout out and congratulations to the tennis team. I hope you guys are watching this or listening to this. We really do appreciate you guys, and we appreciate all the work y'all have put in this past year, and now being ranked number 1 in the ITA polls after that championship season. Dude, it's going to be huge for tennis once we get back to the spring.
Congrats. You ready to move on into VSU's volleyball? Because it is right around the corner, man. We're gonna get to volleyball after the next sport that we talk about, which is going to be women's soccer. Last year they actually had a pretty good season last year. At least I would say, from the couple of matches that I watched. I didn't work a lot of soccer last year. I don't remember if you guys did a lot.
I worked a little bit of soccer.
I worked a little bit.
A little. Yeah, they didn't have me a lot.
So yeah, we all kind of worked little bits of soccer at Blazer Sports Media. That's kind of usually like the what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like the introductory sport to Blazer Sports Media and getting all of our new hires to get them started. It's usually soccer and volleyball. So
and the majority of us were working volleyball and not soccer too.
Yeah, I think I've
so that's why we weren't in soccer pitch.
Anything else?
Yeah. But the thing is with this soccer team, I mean, they have a lot of returning players, especially in their 3 goalie tandem, headlined by Claire Timberlake. She's back into the fold. It was a great backstop for VSU. That last year, which, by the way, last season, if you don't remember, in 2023, ended in a 1-0 loss to Mississippi College in the GSC tournament. And what seemed like towards the end of the season, I mean, the soccer team was on a run. They caught fire. They metaphorically caught fire towards the end of the season. Finishing 8-6-4 and 6-5-2 in GSC play. They unfortunately did drop a couple key matches in that latter end, particularly to West Georgia, which took away the opportunity for a home field advantage in the first round of the GSC tournament. And again, just that brutal 1-0 loss, which I minorly feel like 1-0. I feel like 1-0 is much more devastating than like a blowout. What's your comments? Because I remember VSU also, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, we played Spring Hill. We blew them out like 8-0.
I think that was last year.
It was either last year or the year before. That. So honestly, I really kind of feel like 1-0 is much more devastating of a loss.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, because I mean, like, when you're in that 1-0 standard, there's always the chance, to go up and tie it and, get a point and, no harm, no foul, if you will. But, when it's a blowout, it's obviously it's over.
Yeah, your heartbreaking happens early, and when it's just that 1-0, it's just like it's always it's just always more heartbreaking because it's a close battle. It's always about defense. And then when it comes down to the very end, you try to get that shot and it doesn't go in. It's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, and I know that was sometimes a bit of a contentious issue for this team last year, was finishing their chances. The Blazers last year had really strong defensive play. We had strong midfield play, and we have a great trio of attackers. We have especially headlined by the returns of Anna Maleka and Molly Woolridge. They're back. They're back in the fold as the top scorers from last year's team. They combined for 14 goals and 7 assists last year with 71 shots, 42 on target for 4 game winners combined. So we still have our top strikers, our top dogs on that attacking line. And it's not like VSU has any massive glaring weaknesses in any of the 3 phases of play of attacking, midfield, or defense, and especially goaltending. We're solid on goaltending.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But part of their issue last year that I think was finishing your opportunities when you had them. I think sometimes we would end up finding ourselves in a lot of situations where the team would get up close to the net, but just couldn't pull the trigger. Or when they did, sometimes they did, or when they did, most of the times it didn't go the way they did. So that's really something. I think that's something really to pay attention to this year, is the finishing ability of this women's soccer team. Is how much are they going to be able to convert their chances?
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be big for them, and I'm excited to see how things shape up as well. And one of the things that kind of came out right before the year, as we keep going here on the Inferno, is that now we also then learned that Flow Sports is going to be covering VSU soccer this year.
That is true.
Yeah, soccer, volleyball, baseball, pretty much everything.
Yeah, pretty
now.
much everything now, except for
they've fully monopolized Division II sports at this point.
Yeah, man. Thank God for them adding that student plan now, which is like $10 a month. Shame, no plug.
No shame, no plug. It's 10. They reduced the price for institution students and emails.
Yeah, because trying to catch a VSU game in any capacity last year and like having to shove up $30 a month.
Especially if you're not. Especially if you're not from the region. If you want to watch the Blazers, Flow Sports is the way to go. Yeah. And again, this is not a plug. This is not an advertisement. We're just saying
unless
that's the way to watch.
But,
pretty much the only way to watch if you're not in the area.
Pretty much.
But speaking more on this VSU soccer team, and I actually really do want to give a shout out real quick to our VSU Athletics GAs, Drew Runkle and Miller McGinn, for writing up these articles. So quick editor's note here. I found out it's actually Kit Streif who writes up the women's soccer articles. So Kit, thank you very much for writing up these articles and writing up these stories that we can report report off of.
Absolutely.
For this podcast and for these episodes, especially for these women's soccer articles. So Anna Maleka and Molly Woolridge, I remember I talked about them just a second ago. They each earned GSE all second team honors in 2023. Both paced the team with 7 goals each. Maleka 4 assists, Woolridge 3. And I mentioned the goaltending before. All 3 goalkeepers are returning this season, and each of them saw action. Claire Timberlake, Tori Valet, and Emma Pruitt each saw action last year. So I honestly think goaltending is going to be a massive, massive strength of this team, especially when you have the experience of Timberlake as your starter, Valet as your backup, and then Emma Pruitt also. She can also come in when necessary. So that goaltending tandem is going to be a massive strength for this team. What do you guys think of that?
Oh yeah, definitely. We're spoiled in the goaltending department with all 3 of those women just being able to come in. One goes down, one comes up. Next person up mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't go wrong.
Yeah. And with a lot of returning talent this season, head coach Stephen Andrews, his 8th season as VSU head coach, is actually the all-time winningest coach in VSU soccer history. So congratulations, Coach Andrew. 46, 31, and 7 in GSC play. And he's a really proven coach. It's probably a really good reason why he's been here 8 years so far. Because he produces really great results at the helm of the team. And as actually a matter of fact, he brought in a really talented group of newcomers, including Florida Gulf Coast sophomore Caitlin Schurer and Belmont Abbey Belmont Abbey Junior transfers Lydia Lewis and Lindsay Wong. So it's not just that this team can continue building from what they already have, but being able to go out and get those transfers and 9 freshmen for the 2024 roster. This team so far is built for the future. I think so far this team's built for the future.
And it's not even a rebuild either. It's a reload.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. It's kind of like, because we're going to talk about VSU volleyball in a minute, where we were talking about last year how that team was just young, of like sophomores and freshmen and juniors. And juniors. And you have time to grow with each other and be able to play great, VSU play. And this is an opportunity for them to truly grow and to really, take advantage of the Gulf South Conference and being able to perform at, better than I think that they can do last year, because there was inklings of where they can be as a squad. And I think if they can realize on that potential, we could be looking at something really interesting coming up at the field house. So
recruiting, it's all about recruiting. So, and you just said like 9 freshmen coming in and building up for the future. That's all we could hope for VSU fans, and we could watch them grow into the future powerhouse that they will be, and hopefully we could get another national championship this year.
Yes,
another national championship or GSE title, dude. I'll take either, because both are extremely hard to get, but are so satisfying when you finally get it.
What Shannon Sharp used to say, I want both. Both.
Yes, you want both.
Not BOTH. Both. BUF. So that's country right there. You hear both. That's something you hear in South Georgia, talking about both.
Yeah.
Hold on, for Jalen's case, hey, if you want lemonade or you want or iced tea? Boy, iced tea.
That's the only options down here.
That's bad.
It's the only options.
If you want to learn more about why I'm reacting the way I am,
hey man,
check out the Laura episode from last year.
Check out some other shows, dog.
Yes. Hey, so the last thing I'm gonna leave us off here with soccer before we head into a quick break is the GSC preseason poll. Valdosta State ranking 6th in the preseason poll, headlined by West Florida, Lee, Mississippi College, Montevallo, Union, and then we're sitting here at number 6 with 90 points. West Florida's tabbed the league favorite. The Argonauts topped the preseason poll for the first time since 2019, collecting 143 points in 11 of the 12 first place votes, and they were the regular season champion last year. So makes a ton of sense for the Blazers themselves. They checked in with 90 points for 6th. Tagging in for 6th place on the GSC poll. Where do you think that's
a fair assumption?
Yes, thank you.
I think it is. The teams you mentioned that are ahead of us are definitely ahead of us for a reason, because they proved themselves last season and they proved themselves in seasons prior.
Yeah.
But I think it's no secret that we're kind of middle of the pack right now, but we definitely have the potential to go up and win the conference this year. You just got to take care of business, clean up your finishing, and it'll all fall in line.
Yeah, I pretty much have to agree. Like 6 is pretty much the great spot, and like you said earlier, it's about finishing. Yeah, finishing about what we started, being up. 6 is pretty much a great spot.
And kind of gives us a little bit of room to work. Because again, this is 6 out of 13 teams. So we're directly
middle of the pack.
Yeah, soccer team's directly in the middle of the pack, and they definitely have stuff to prove, especially against Mississippi College, the team that knocked us out in the postseason. I mean, I definitely think when we come across them again, whether it be out in Mississippi College or here at the Fieldhouse, you definitely got something to prove.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see what the Blazers can do. Jalen, if you can pull up their first game of the year, because I know
as a matter of fact, the season opener, 2024 season opener, will be against Middle Georgia on Thursday, September 5th at 6 p.m. at the VSU Soccer Complex. If you can make it out, please make it out.
Because
honestly, I remember, I don't remember, Kyle, if you said this before last year in terms of fans coming out to the games. But if I'm gonna be frank with you, the soccer games are actually pretty fun to come out to. If you like soccer, if you like that pace of play, especially with VSU, how they play, they're aggressive. They're a very aggressive style of team.
Oh yeah, every sport. It just felt like last year.
So come out where you can. Come out if you're able to. We and the teams themselves would absolutely appreciate your support.
Exactly. The fan atmosphere and the fan support. I mean, that it definitely plays a big role in team success. You know, the players see who comes out, they see how full those stands are.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's definitely a big encouragement when you look up and you see that entire side full.
Exactly.
I just can't wait to get started working on Sundays, and then on my phone I'll be watching my Falcons.
You ain't lying, man.
Yep.
That's how it's going to work.
Yep. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick break before we get into the volleyball and football previews. Thank you for sticking with us throughout the show. So far, we really do appreciate you guys. This has been the Inferno Blazer Sports Show, the sports show ran by the students, for Blazers, for Blazer Nation. We'll be right back right after this. Hey there. Suppose you want to hear more hot headlines, scorching stories, and humorous but informative commentary on all things Blazer athletics? How about subscribing to the show, following us on Instagram at the Inferno B.S.S, or checking out our website at www.sites.google.com/view/the Inferno B.S.S so that you never miss out on any episode of the Inferno wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to the Inferno Blazer Sports Show, the sports podcast by the students about the Blazers for Blazer Nation all around. And now, back to the show.
And welcome back to the Inferno. And next up, we're going to have the preview for volleyball for the 2024 season. We're going to toss it over to Jalen.
Thanks, man. So I just want to preface this real quick for a volleyball season. Something I didn't mention in the introductions or when I introduced myself, but I have officially taken up the position of the head commentator, or at least one of the two commentators for the volleyball team this season. I'll be calling all their home matches. So I'm kind of taking,
congratulations.
Yes, sir.
Thank you guys. So I'll be taking the place of Jack, what he was doing last year. I remember last year I did the public address. I did the announcing, in which that's where the almighty Stonewall.
Bring the Stonewall to the broadcast.
I wish I can. I'm gonna see if I can get away with that.
You got to find a way to like make it flow in there.
Yeah, I gotta find some way to use the word Stonewall, because apparently, from what I heard, a lot of the players and actually the coaches on the team said I did a really good job last year. So
they all like the Stonewall.
I really do appreciate that. And actually, speaking of the players and the coaches, I actually managed to talk with them earlier this morning about the team and the team's construction and the roster. Because the big thing about this volleyball team this season is that they are a front-loaded, senior-heavy team looking to continue building long-term success with a lot of young depth. Now, when I say that by bringing up these specific numbers. 7 returning seniors, JoJo Smith, Amaya Harris, Audrey Bennett, Christina Pettigrew, Mackenzie Murray, Kaya Baker, and now Kennedy Hairston, who redshirted her previous season. So again, 7 seniors. 5 of them led the team, either led the team or was second on the team in certain statistical categories. Like Smith and Murray led the team in kills. They led the team in kills. Pettigrew led in blocks. Bennett led in assists. She actually counted for 71% of the team's assists last year, with 963 in the year. And again, that's in 33 matches. She started and played in all 33 matches, 963 assists. I mean, when they say the offense runs through the setter, it runs through the setter. It absolutely runs through the setter. And obviously we still have Amaya Harris and Kennedy Hairston finding their way in the front row, finding their roles in the front row. So 3 departures, 2 transfers, 1 graduation, the graduate being Mallory Roney, who graduated last year, was a fantastic player for Valdosta State. And the other 2 being Gabby Ortiz and Julia Diaz, who have transferred off. And 4 new players, 2 true freshmen, 1 redshirt freshman, technically a transfer from West Virginia State University, I believe, and 1 proper junior transfer. I managed to get a couple interviews with a couple of players, mainly Audrey Bennett and JoJo Smith, and an interview with the 2 coaches, Coach Zuha and Coach Mullen. And the biggest question that I had was regarding leadership and experience. I mean, you got 7 seniors. If you think about it in a more traditional way, you always look at the seniors as the most experienced, the most mature, the ones you always want to look up to. But for this VSU volleyball team, that's actually not so much the case, as it was told to me by Audrey Bennett and Coach Mullen as well, that kind of leadership role is more spread across the team. That there's no true centralized person, but rather everyone steps up. Everyone steps up and finds a way to lead the team in some shape or fashion. Actually, as a matter of fact, the two captains, as Coach Mullen ended up telling me, are JoJo Smith, a senior, and Lily Glover. You guys remember? Wow. You guys remember Lily Glover? Now a sophomore. She was nicknamed the Spark Plug last year by our GAs Drew and
That's
Miller.
A fire nickname.
Which honestly makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Great defensive player and had a golden serving arm as well. Served 23 aces last year. But going just beyond, stats and numbers and stuff. When I interview all these players and the coaches, they really understand how to play as a team. It's also something we commented a lot on last year. The women's basketball team is why they played so good is because they play like a team. They truly love being around one another and really built those off-court relationships with each other. And I think that's a lot of what we're seeing now in this VSU volleyball team, especially when they went down to Costa Rica and played some matches down there against some local Costa Rican teams. It was told to me that they really felt like that was a bit of a catalyst. That was a bit of a catalyst for really bringing the team together away from the court, away from practices, so that they have something to bond over and bond about outside of the game. Because I'm pretty sure, as all of us would know, we've all played team sports. If you don't have a good relationship with your teammates outside the field of play, it's not going to show. It's not going to show on the field of play.
Yeah, absolutely. every time I went deep into a season, whether I was playing a sport, doing media with a sport, really anything, I've always heard one thing, and this is that every successful team is more than a team. It's more like a family, and that's what you get when we won the conference title back in 2021. We go to the championship, become a national finalist. That was more than a team. That was a family. Yeah. When my high school won our region title, go to the quarterfinals in 2018. That was definitely more than a team. That was a family. Yeah. And this is what I'm seeing with the volleyball team coming up. When you was talking about Costa Rica, it's fun to go down there. It's fun to go see all that fun stuff. It's fun to play in all those volleyball games, of course. But, that really just seemed like a team building activity where they, become a family essentially.
Yeah. I mean, that's what JoJo Smith told me a lot of. I asked her about it, and she said that trip really helped make the team bond. They started off very timidly with one another because obviously you got all the new players coming in, so you don't know how everyone's going to be like. And then when you go down there, she said there was a lot of team bonding and building in various activities that they did. And she said, and I quote, "Coach made us all little hippies at some point when they went out surfing." So, thank you, JoJo, for that life.
If he was not from Cairo, I could see Kyle in alternate life, just like, yeah, dude.
And that's the stuff that you want to hear for a potential championship team. And you got players like JoJo and Christina, who I think are the heart and soul of this team. And bringing in the others, the transfers, the freshmen. And we have depth on this team. Yeah. It's like for last year, I feel like we could have won like a lot more games. Yeah. It's just, like you said, for soccer, it's just all about finishing, because I know we went up like 2 sets, multiple times, and we had like teams come back from those sets, and it's just so frustrating. But they're gonna get tired out there. But that's what the depth is for. And
that comes with experience too, as well.
Experience, like you said, as well. It's just, but now I feel like we're gonna get better because of all the people that we have now. And that's actually something that Coach Zuha, now in her 7th year as head coach of this VSU team, she told me that was something that the team really wants. When I asked her the question of what was the strength and what was something maybe the team needs to work on, what she told me is that what's something the team needs to work on is making sure that you're playing volleyball consistently from down to the fundamentals up to the more advanced stuff consistently. It takes consistent play. what she told me was it's not how well you can play, it's how long you can play well.
Yes.
And that rings really true for volleyball. I mean, I even said myself, volleyball is a game of runs. If you can get on a run, if you can get on a point streak, if you can get the momentum going, it's really hard to stop you. But as sets sometimes continue to drag on, because again, you can have like 30, 40, even 50 point sets. And so as they keep dragging along, you have to be able to maintain your consistent play. You have to be able to maintain that really well play. And that's also something that Audrey Bennett also told me about. And being more specific here, Audrey Bennett told me one of the strengths of the team was their defense and their serve and receive. And she even told me, if you can't get a pass, you're not going to win many games. And that was actually a really big strength of the team last year. They didn't let up many aces or had many receiving errors. And now this year, especially after I watched them at their close practice, which I cannot explain more in detail about, they played really well on the receiving end. They were able to serve and they were able to receive. And they play a great defensive game, but are able to also get the kills, get the sets, been able to get the sets out to JoJo or Mackenzie. That's going to be huge. That's going to be huge for his volleyball team this season.
Well, go ahead, Carl.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to mention, talk about the closed practice, but, it's better than, open the eyes up to the public. And speaking of, they have an open practice coming up for VSU volleyball on
September 3rd. It's a scrimmage. It's a red and white scrimmage on September 3rd at the complex. If you're able to come out and see the volleyball Blazers play, come out and see them. It'll give you a great preview of what this team has to offer this year. And what else is I?
And they opened up their season also that Thursday on the 5th.
They open up on the 6th.
Excuse me, because that's a Friday for the fall tournament that they have.
The fall tournament, the VSU 2024 fall tournament begins next Friday and Saturday, September 6th and 7th, where we play the likes of we play Rollins, Erskine, Converse, and
we played Erskine last year, didn't we, in the tournament as well?
Pardon me?
Didn't we play Erskine last year?
No, we did not play Erskine last year.
I thought we did in the tournament last year.
No, we didn't. And Winston-Salem. So it's going to be
Winston-Salem, NC in the house.
So it's going to be VSU.
Stephen A will be there.
It's going to be VSU, Converse, Winston-Salem, Rollins, and Erskine at that tournament to open the season. First match at 9 a.m. on September 6th. So it's going to be a really early day and a very long day.
Oh yeah, I remember that from last year.
Yeah, it's going to be all the same this year. But I guess if I'm going to leave off volleyball here, the last thing I want to ask, kind of get a little group discussion here, is what aspect of this team do you think is going to push them along into better success, into more success?
Mental toughness. I think that when we talked about last year, when you're up 2 sets, it's not getting off the gas. It's about finishing it. You finish it in 3, you finished it in 3 sets, and you go home and you be able to, rest and recover. Because it was a stretch last year, especially the beginning of the year, where you're like, okay, this is where we know we are playing great VSU volleyball. And it was like at some point in October, and it's just like that slide of like inconsistency where you're up 2 sets or you're up big in a set, let's say 15-7, and you're allowing them to get back into those sets. You have to be able to finish. So being able to be mentally tough and know, okay, I can't lax now, let's finish it. Because you don't want to get deep into a game where you don't necessarily have your best players out there because they're tired, they're exhausted, and they've been out there where, they're mentally not there. So being able to be mentally focused going into this year and being able to close out these games, which I know that they absolutely can do.
Oh, yeah.
Man, it's going to be fun to watch them. I mean, if they have the pieces to put it together I wouldn't be surprised if we're sitting here October and November, they're the top of the Gulf South Conference. I wouldn't be shocked at the slightest. And that's just not being a homer. That's how I know how good this team can be.
Yeah, for me, it's team chemistry. And that's not saying that the team chemistry is not there, but I think it's definitely improved with the Costa Rica trip. The big thing for me really is I feel like last year, 2023, everybody knew VSU's coming and they're going to be something good in the future. well, the future is now.
Absolutely.
We're here to stay. We're definitely contending for the GSC this year. We're definitely contending for a national title,
and not just contending for a title now, but again going on further. Especially, I know I asked Coach Zuha about recruiting, and I asked her, with 7 seniors on the roster and pretty much 7 roster spots already out of like 15. I mean that's half the roster you still got to fill up, and they told, and Coach Mullen also told me that they weren't really looking for anyone specific. They weren't really looking to build a lot because they didn't need a lot. The team doesn't need a lot this season. I mean, they will next year in 2025, but I mean, they brought in a lot of new pieces. I think one especially to look out for is Avery Mullins, who actually got listed to the GSC newcomer watch list. So Avery Mullins, a redshirt freshman, a dedicated setter, which are really hard to come by in volleyball because you run the offense through the setter, and that's what Bennett's going to have to shoulder a lot of the workload on this year. And if you have Mullins coming in, you have Avery Mullins coming in working with the more experienced hitters like Mackenzie Murray, like JoJo Smith, like Katie Kallenberger as well. I forgot to mention her; she's a junior. You're really giving these younger players time to be more successful. And I think that's going to be huge. The depth is going to play a massive part. G, what's your thoughts on that?
I was going to add the fan support because we need the fans to come out and support these Blazers. Pack out the Plex, please. It helps so much when we have the fans in attendance, these Blazers, VSU alumni, the Blazer Mites. Come on, it helps so much with the team, chemistry, keeps the energy up. And
I've been here 4 years.
What is a Blazer Mite?
It's a Blazer Mite. The little kitties, the little Blazer Mites.
Gotcha.
Okay.
That makes joke sense. That was getting ready to come out of my mouth. What do you mean by that?
Please hold on to that. We are not trying to get demonetized at the beginning of the year, please.
Oh man, we're gonna say that for later on in the show. But because Z, you're not off the hook. See, Jack, I want you to know now that you're not here. Whoa. You are officially off the hook from the first episode ever on the pod where we played a certain clip that will be played, and I'll just leave.
If you can tell us exactly what it was and what timestamp it was, which I'll also put in our Instagram,
we will shout you out.
We'll shout you out.
We'll shout you out on the show.
So keep an eye out for that.
That's a certain point, but also we're going to discuss it a little bit later. But if all hearts and minds are clear, I think it is time to talk about one sport that is starting up this Saturday. Finally,
pride of South Georgia.
The pride of South Georgia. The pride of all
America.
That much is true.
Yes, indeed. But we're here to talk about some football, and we're going to talk to our football expert, the one and only Kyle Althorn. Kyle,
why'd you have to do in that accent?
Because that's how them folks in Cairo talk. Look here, we're going to love football. I love football.
Dang, I hate you, right, Chris.
So they also like the dude from the Alabama. I don't give a hell about nothing but the Tide. That's Kyle. That's him. That's him.
Oh my gosh. So let's talk a little 2023 recap. We go 12-2 last season, 7-1 in the conference. Share the conference title with Delta State. Avenge that loss in the playoffs because we did lose to them in the regular season, but eventually ending our playoff journey versus Lenore-Ryan in the quarterfinal in that wonderful little rain game we had.
Monsoon Bowl.
If you want more about that, we talk about that.
Jack, if you're listening, you are still welcome for the plexiglass.
I broke my tailbone, and it was not broken.
Oh my God!
It was kind of funny.
Fractured my tailbone. Going down the stairs. It was not fun.
Somebody free us from those stairs in the away press box. But Coach Jackson enters his 3rd season at the helm of the VSU football program. He walks into season 3 with a 17-8 record. He had that skid that first season, but he made up for it in season 2. A notable coaching departure that I noticed, a guy that I'm very familiar with, our former offensive coordinator, Rick Bowie, goes to Abilene Christian, which was a former school of Coach Jackson. He was, I believe, the defensive coordinator there. So there's the connection there. He leaves to be the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach in the great state of Texas. But our new offensive coordinator, Graham Craig, if that name sounds familiar, it's because he was a former Blazer national champion quarterback back in 2012 when we won the national title. So
wow.
He returns to Titletown in a coaching position. He was most recently a offensive analyst at Memphis. So the Blazers opened the 2024 campaign at home versus Albany State. That team went 6-5 last year.
Long-standing rival.
Billing it as the South Georgia Labor Day Classic.
See, that's a fantastic name.
I like that.
I like
that. Me and Chris were talking a few days ago, and we were saying it's a shame that Albany State isn't in the GSC.
I'm still going to
and I wanted to ask y'all here also, because Albany State, I don't know if y'all two have talked about, y'all two have seen it, but have y'all seen Albany State's new turf?
New turf
yes,
is so
it's amazing.
It's beautiful. Beautiful.
Right, man. Hey, Valdosta State, if you are looking for suggestions.
They just got new turf.
I know. Well,
Yes.
new words.
So new turf on the same pattern?
Yeah, it's the same type of turf or same design, but it's like a different type, I believe.
Gotcha. Okay.
They just put that in a few weeks ago, but the Blazers won in Albany last year against the Golden Rams 21-16, a little bit of a close game.
It was a great game if you were there. I was there last year. It was the atmosphere there was crazy. A lot of VSU fans love to travel to Albany.
And probably here, vice versa.
Not far.
I'm excited to see what the visitors are going to look like.
The backyard brawl, as it's also called. It's kind of like an unofficial name. I like the backyard brawl.
It's a shame that they're not in the Gulf South Conference. Considering the fact that the history that, in terms of, we went through Albany State to get to our first national championship back in 2004. And we are 28-14 is the all-time record between the two schools.
Yeah, well,
and with the issue ahead, of course. But
my big question to the GSC and really Division II as a whole is that if you can justify having Shorter in the Gulf South Conference, which is billed as the SEC of Division II.
Yep,
that's what they tell every single recruit that goes through these doors, that we are in the SEC of Division II. If you can justify having a team like Shorter, which is really not a knock, but the record speaks for themselves. Why not put Albany State in that?
No shot.
Yeah, speaking of Shorter in West Georgia,
bye, Felicia.
Bye, West Georgia and Shorter. They've
good
left
luck
the
in
GSC.
Division One, man. Hey, I know y'all are missing some inventory. Can you mind telling us what that is? What they're missing in that inventory?
Is it maybe the peach basket?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, they're not getting that back.
Yeah,
they're not getting that back. We're holding on to that.
I was just in the field house yesterday, and I was like, man, I like this new decor. This is nice.
Shorter now moving to the Conference
West
Carolina.
Georgia.
West Georgia going to.
That's what I'm always going to call them.
Going to Division I. I mean, you saw what they did last year. They're going into Division I with a new head coach. Good luck to you, bud. That's all I got to tell you.
Good luck, man.
Yeah, Shorter's going to Conference Carolinas, who will actually have their own football. The Conference Carolinas will finally be adding football to their conference next year. So the likes of North Greenville, Shawan, and Erskine, who's now playing football with us this year, they're going to be gone next year. So we're only going to be down to 4 GSC football members next year. I think that's something else to note.
They'll bring in some more schools, but I mean, I think that's good. I mean, I think it should be a high quality football program if you're in the GSC.
Absolutely. Wasn't there also news about I can't remember if it was, I was going to say Cedel that is going to play Valdosta.
Yeah, the
State
Citadel is an FCS program. They're coming down to play Valdosta next season.
So I wanted to make mention of that.
But just really focusing on this season, our quarterback Sammy Edwards returns for his senior season, coming off of a year where he was a Harlan Hill finalist.
And you called it.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before. When he was a freshman, when he came in, all the coaching staff was saying, hey, this guy is definitely going to be fighting for a Harlan Hill once he gets his starting position.
Yeah, he was sitting behind Ivory the first few years.
He sat behind him, but when he took off, he took off.
That takes a lot of commitment of a player, and that speaks to who he is as a player. If you're sitting behind Ivory and there is no slack to Ivory game at all, and you're able to sit there and truly learn from him and not, transfer out and bide his time and being able to show that, man, that's the type of player you want. So
yeah, I mean, Sammy's a full package, really. I mean, his build doesn't look like he's that much of a runner.
Yeah,
but he can get out of the pocket. He can get going.
Yeah.
That's the most surprising coming from Sammy too, because
6'2",
going to literally all of his games, knowing that he could run out the pocket, throwing for like 300 plus yards and 3 touchdowns, multiple games.
He threw for 4,300 yards last year. 34 TD passes.
Great, best quarterback in the GSC.
You only do like 7
he definitely has an opportunity to win the Harlan Hill this season.
Oh yeah,
yeah, man. I'm excited to see what he does this year.
He's gonna ball out.
This is honestly, and this isn't even a homer. This is our conference to lose. Like this is our
I think so as
opportunity.
well.
Oh yeah. Well, before y'all get into that, I'm gonna go around the table. We'll start with G, go to Jalen, and end with Chris. I want to hear y'all's season predictions, and then also give me VSU's biggest test as for what's on the schedule right now. G, what are you thinking?
I'm definitely going undefeated. I'm not gonna lie. Undefeated. I have it.
But anyway,
But yeah, undefeated. What you got?
The season we had last year, we started off kind of slow a little bit, but the way we finished was super duper strong. And we bouncing out the quarterback play of Sammy. I feel like our toughest test would probably be Delta. On November 9th.
November 9th at Delta State as well.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Yeah. But if we beat them last year in the playoffs, so I feel like that's the most important time to, beat them. And 14-0 and national champions. That's what I'm calling. I'm sorry. It's my last year here, and I want a football national national title.
That's very fair.
Jalen?
For me, I guess I'm gonna go through game by game here. I'm not gonna try to take too long here. So Albany State and Newberry to start. We're home versus Albany State, away against Newberry. I think we pick up wins there. Then we're at home versus Fayetteville State. I think that's another win there. Then we play at Erskine College, the Flying Fleet, as they're called, in Due West, South Carolina. So that's going to be a drive. Despite that, I think they're still going to come off the win there. So we're starting 4-0. Then West Alabama, for some reason has always played us tough. West Alabama has always played us tough. They've always given us a battle. Yeah. So I'm going to say West Alabama, we come away with the win in that. I'd say maybe by one score. Then we've got 2 back-to-back away games against Shorter and North Greenville. I'm going to say both of those are wins. Greenville might give us a challenge.
They always do.
Yeah, North Greenville always gives us a challenge, just like West Alabama. So I'm going to say we win by one. We win by one possession for North Greenville. And then here comes, I think, the actual gauntlet, the actual tough part of the schedule. You got Mississippi College and Shawan and back-to-back weeks at home. Or actually, I'm sorry. We have Mississippi College, a bye week, then Shawan at home.
I know y'all Blazers Sports Media folks are excited about that.
And then after that, we have Delta State. Out of that section of 3 games, this Mississippi College, Shawan, and Delta State, I would say I think the only loss we take out of that is at Delta State. We play at Delta State this year, and they're still a strong team. Delta State's still a strong team. They've always given us a run for our money. We saw what happened in the regular season last year. They wiped us last year. It was not pretty. But eventually, again, we would avenge that loss. But I think out of all the games that we could potentially lose, I think Delta State is one of them. Mm-hmm. And then West Florida, I think that's our toughest test. At home, last game against a team that has always been a thorn in our side. I think even more so than West Alabama and North Greenville, because West Alabama and North Greenville, at least compared to VSU, at least in the last 2 years I've been here, we've always been a step above them, but they keep climbing up.
They've essentially been trap games.
Yeah, they've been the trap games. West Florida, that's a heavyweight bout, and so is Delta State.
West Georgia's gone. Yeah, West Florida's circled in.
And the way I see that with Delta State and West Florida, and even Mississippi College as well, those are all heavyweight bouts. Somebody's going to get knocked out.
Yeah,
and honestly, it could go either way. So I think West Florida is going to be the toughest for us. But other than that, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I say regular season 10-1. 10-1, make the playoffs. Only loss against Delta State.
I will say this though. One of the things I noticed is that VSU were Road Warriors last year. Did not lose.
Road Warriors.
Yeah, they didn't lose one game on the road last year. The one game that really showed how good they really are. We can talk about their blowouts against Point, or talk about a blowout against Shorter, or a blowout against Kaiser. But games like against West Al, where they went on the road and won in a 1-score game. The win against West Florida last year, whereas that is a spectacular catch. I think it was Ted Hurst that made the catch last year.
And I got that on tape.
I love that. Yeah, shout out to you. Like, games like that, when your back's against the wall, you turn to your playmakers and you turn to your team and say, who is going to make a play? And in a hostile environment, you don't have, Basemore Hyder Stadium at your disposal to, get the crowd pumped. You have to bring it within yourselves. And games like that showed me a lot. And even the Delta State game, where, we got that favorable punt, but they're able to go down the field against that team up until that point, the only team that hands you a loss last year. And the one team that honestly gave them the run for their money as well along as West Florida. Those are the games that I look at and tell me what they are as a team. One of the things that also I noticed is that the biggest jump from last year, from Coach Jackson's first year and Coach Jackson's second year, the defense took a massive step up.
Yes.
Oh,
Exactly.
yes. Definitely.
Their defense took a massive step up. And when you look at games, reason why the Delta State game lingers in that regular season one is because the defense couldn't get a stop. And the defense was getting put in terrible positions on the field when you're starting from your opponent's 25. Or you're starting inside the red zone, or starting inside, goal-to-go territory. And when you get behind like that, it's hard for you to catch up. And I think that if we can clean up that, there's not a reason why we can't go undefeated. Delta State and West Florida are, two of the biggest games that we have in the entire year. We go back to Cleveland, where we know what we can beat them at. And we know that West Florida is going to always give us a run for our money. Each of the last two meetings have come down to one score, because 2022, it was overtime, 32-31, even though that roughing the passer was, but last year, and also, last year being a field goal game as well. So those are the games that, of course, are always going to test you. But the biggest thing is that, and Coach Jackson was leading this to as well, preseason rankings are nice. We're trying to win a natty, trying to win a national championship, and trying to stay perfectly focused into that. Yeah. And I can see that every single time you go into the field house. And honestly, this is a determined group that I'm seeing here. This is, in many ways, best chance to go and win a national title and be able to have and take advantage of this schedule that honestly looks favorable, because when you start the year against Albany State, they're going to give you a test, but you know that you can handle it. You look at, honestly, a Fayetteville State, which is the unknown because it's the first meeting between the two.
Yep.
They play teams, well in their conference as well, HBCU out that way. And when you look at a West Al, who of course, played us close. But
that's a trap game.
That always is. But honestly, they can't look ahead to a Delta State and a West Florida. Yeah. Last time I checked, that's in November.
Exactly.
We still got August, September, and October to get through. And I see 7 games on my schedule. Yeah, 7 games, the 8 games on my schedule, and 9 before we even get to November, where these games and these Gulf South Conference matches where we face these heavy hitters.
That's where we say, and that's where we say that's where the toughest challenge is.
Yeah, that's where you can't allow yourself to do that. That offense, I know offensively we're going to miss guys like Council Allen. Yeah.
Shout out Council. He was always good to me on the road.
Yeah, man. Shout out Council. He was so good as a receiver. But honestly, the way that this team is built, next man up, this is an offense that is going to fly. Defensively, they're going to be flying around the football. And I think that if they are able to get pressure like they were last year, if they are able to honestly stick to their keys, as my old linebacker coach used to say, they can win themselves a lot of ball games. And I think that honestly, if their defense plays their part, that offense is going to do fine.
Yeah,
this should be a fun year. This really should be, and I'm excited for August 31st.
Yeah, and when I look at this schedule, I know I got to be quick because we got to wrap this up. But really, I agree with you, G. I think we can go undefeated. I think it's definitely in the cards. The away game at North Greenville kind of scares me because they're always that trap game. When you go up there to Tigerville, it's always something to look at, whether they play us tough or not. You always got to look at that. But really, the West Florida game, it's going to be a tough one. It's at home, though. West Florida, I really don't know what they're going to be this year. They always play us tough, but they've definitely fell off in the last few years. But definitely the Delta State game. I understand their quarterback, they got a new one in their system now, but still driving all the way to Cleveland, playing in that environment. It's late in the season. I assume And I know where that gets you. I assume we go into the Delta State game undefeated.
Yeah. That bye week is going to come in handy.
Yeah.
That is true.
This year.
We didn't even have one last year.
You very well could walk out of Delta State with a loss and go 10-1, but I really do believe that we can go undefeated this season. But to what you were saying about what Coach Jackson was saying about winning a natty, and we're talking about not getting ahead of ourselves, I definitely think it's more important to try to win the conference, because if you win the conference, everything else will work itself out.
It all kind of falls in place.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be mad.
Let's not worry about getting a McKinney right now. Let's worry about getting to November 16th and being undefeated when that's all said and done.
Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if West Florida versus Valdosta is for the title outright, where both of them are sitting. Both are sitting at the same record.
That's a storybook ending right there.
I wouldn't be shocked. And also considering how close that those two teams play, how good they play each other every single year.
Not just one sport, and not just football, but in every sport. I mean, I remember Jack and I talking about it, and we brought this up on the show before, but we really honestly think the next big GSC rivalry should be Valdosta State and West Florida.
Absolutely.
Battle of the border right there. Battle of the Gold Coast.
They are.
New AD, Mr. Troy Catton, if you are listening to this, please make that a thing.
Yeah, man. That border clash is real.
I've heard you are big on marketing. Sir, I've heard you're big on marketing. Please make VSU West Florida and make a push for that to be the next big rivalry. We need that, or rather, I need that. I think that's a fantastic rivalry to put on.
When the Argos came into town 2022, and that game, I'm working for Blazer Sports Media at the time, and seeing that game, and I'm like, man, that's the matchup right there. And I mean, it's close, and you can see how much that game brought out in the intensity of what was a down year for Valdosta State. You saw how much intensity that was in 2022. And in 2023, where everyone had everything to gain, VSU had everything to gain, and West Florida was, still hanging on by a thread. Yeah. This is money matchup right here. And Jalen, you ready to close us out? Because
I indeed am. What's up?
You're ready to see the Cowboys be disappointed next week, aren't you? He's somewhat happy that CeeDee Lamb got excited. He got excited. He saw CeeDee Lamb got signed. He's just like, yes. Now what about that?
We will get to that. We will get to that eventually. But for now, this is going to bring an end to episode 1 of season 3 of the Inferno Blazer Sports Show. If you have followed us this entire time throughout this episode, thank you so much for tuning in and sticking with us all the way through. For me, for Chris, for Kyle, for G, this has been the Inferno Blazer Sports Show. The sports show by the students, for the Blazers, for Blazer Nation. Chris, send us off.
Hey, man, if you can't take the heat, you can't survive the Inferno. Hey, Craig, wake up. Say bye to the people.
Bye, Felicia.